We're only halfway through the year, but the Xbox One has already clocked hundreds of releases, 368 to be exact. Fortunately, we've sorted through all of them to bring you this list of the top 10 Xbox One games of 2020 so far, all arranged by PlayScore. You can find the complete list on our website, whattoplay.com, link in the description box below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Opening at number 10 is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. This latest Dragon Ball title from Bandai Namco littered our upcoming list for months, and now that it's finally out, it seems the Xbox One peeps have heeded our call of checking it out. Retelling one of the most popular arcs in the whole Dragon Ball saga, there were some fears of it being a little too familiar. But while that was the case for some critics who also found it to be lacking in both open world and arena fighting merits, most gamers were just glad to have Goku's adventures renewed, complete with stunning cutscenes that are voiced to perfection. Though it may have some technical issues and some repetitive combat, this is still a winner for anyone who wants to feel that rush of Dragon Ball nostalgia. It has a play score of 8.04. Never ending at number 9 is One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. The fourth installment of this Musou-based One Piece adaptation has hit the mark. While their previous game succeeded at delivering a Musou game with a One Piece skin, this fourth entry actually went above and beyond in their retelling of a familiar story. Not only does it gather around a sizable number of the series' iconic characters to bring it to life, it also introduces brand new character arcs, as well as the exclusive Land of Wano story. On top of that, there's also the new fighter types in Sanji and his siblings, and the spike in difficulty with notable enemies getting armor bars that require strategy to whittle down. All in all, there's just so much action in this new entry, and you can keep coming back for more. It has a play score of 8.07. Back in time at number 8 with Doom 64. The Doom series is basking in the limelight this year. Aside from id Software's explosive sequel to their Doom Reboot series, fans of the original Doom series have also been treated with this remastered revival of the 1997 FPS originally made for the Nintendo 64. While it may still look dated due to its obvious retro roots, what makes Doom 64 special is the fact that it was especially modified for the release on the modern consoles. No longer are the stages too dark for normal vision. Some improvements on frame rates and shooting have also been made, making it a fast-paced and responsive game despite its age. Whether you're an old Doom fan or a newbie looking for a taste of the video game history, this remastered experience will serve you well with a play score of 8.09. Home run at number 7 with Super Mega Baseball 3. There's a lot of emotion in baseball, and it's amazing to witness a game that captures the intensity of the sport. Although it might have a cartoony presentation that suggests an arcade focus, it actually takes baseball simulation pretty seriously. Despite the lack of licensing, the game provides plenty of gameplay options that more than make up for it. Create your very own team from scratch, design the logos, manage the players, and all while getting a hands-on experience on the field too. With a combination of their in-depth mechanics and their appealing aesthetic, it makes it a great game for hardcore baseball fans and for players just looking for a good bit of fun. A wonderful addition to the baseball roster, it receives a play score of 8.14. At number 6, we have Shantae and the Seven Sirens. Shantae has had more than a few adventures, so it's fitting for her to go back to her roots. The Seven Sirens takes a page out of their previous iterations, bringing out the best features from each of them and combining all of them into one amazing package. It's always been a series known for its Metroid-style gameplay. However, instead of the level-based design of Half Genie, this entry brings back the open map system which, while a little more straightforward, will be very familiar to old fans. It may fall short on features to make it stand out in the increasingly saturated Metroidvania genre. It's still one of the best releases of the series, and it's definitely worth checking out. It has a play score of 8.17. Did you know your reviews can influence the play score? Register now at whattoplay.com and start reviewing games. Link in the description box below.
Bring it on, Your Highness! Bring it on!
A goofy goober at number 5 with SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. One of the many remakes and remasters scheduled for this year, SpongeBob's platforming adventures in Bikini Bottom was a cult hit when it was first released in 2003. Now, the video game rises up along with the series comeback of Nickelodeon's hyperactive Sea Sponge. This remaster is still pretty much banking on nostalgia. There isn't a lot of big changes to the game apart from some deleted content from the original and a new multiplayer mode. It didn't score too well with critics, but for gamers who just wanted to dive back into the fun of Bikini Bottom in HD, that was a plus. If you're a fan of the series, Rehydrated preserves the charm of the original while showing us just how far gaming technology has come.
Fresh like a spring breeze.
It has a play score of 8.36. Rip and Tear at number 4 with Doom Eternal. Here's something both critics and gamers can agree on. As a sequel to id Software's reboot, Doom Eternal brought out a lot of new ideas for the rebirth of the series. One of the biggest draws of this entry was its array of movement upgrades and weapon additions, allowing for more excitement in the single-player campaign for your resident Doom guy. The game has been mostly praised for the lightning-fast pace of its action sequences. On the other hand, there's also their new platform and puzzle-based levels that for some felt like a fitting counterpoint to the action, while for others, awkward and frustrating. With more involved combat and multiplayer modes, it's definitely a step up from the 2016 original, and it receives a play score of 8.5. Third place is Yakuza 0. It took the game a while to get on the console, but as something that's already been widely praised on both the PS4 and the PC, Yakuza 0 brought all of its strong points to this most awaited entrance to the Xbox One, and more. This delayed port may have actually been to its benefit. More than a couple of years after its debut, we now get to see it in a form that's better than ever before. It shows off the glitz and grooviness of the Yakuza's 80s origins with the current generation's graphics and high resolutions. Reintroducing a modern masterpiece to a new audience, many would agree that this is a perfect jumping point for anyone that's still starting on the series. As COG Connected says, Yakuza 0 still translates well as an engaging and fun experience, particularly for those who love a good story. It gets a play score of 8.63. At number 2, we have Huntdown. While we're on the subject of the 80s, this title from Coffee Stain Publishing and East Trigger Games have found a way to combine two iconic 80s things into one game. Feeling like a fusion of Contra and Blade Runner, it's not surprising that retro fans would flock to this game like moths to a flame. But aside from its strong nostalgia factor, Huntdown also succeeds in delivering fluid and functional action that fits well in this generation. According to GameSpew, it does a brilliant job of feeling like a blast from the past, yet the responsive controls and cover mechanics firmly plant it in the modern age. The game just oozes personality. It's cool, it's inventive, and giving players all that excitement at a budget price point, it's definitely something you shouldn't miss out on. It has a play score of 8.63. Here are the runners-up before we reveal the number 1. Streets of Rage 4. The refreshed return of a beat-em-up classic. At a time that's lacking in beat-em-up action, this latest entry gives us a perfect opportunity to jump back in, despite the lack of new features. Journey to the Savage Planet. A field trip to an untamed planet made for two. Shoot the breeze and the world's strange creatures and enjoy the hilarity that comes with exploring a place that's entirely unfamiliar. Project Warlock. Retro games are in, and this game is dedicated to the old-school fans of Doom, Hexen, and Wolfenstein. White-knuckle your way through 60 high-octane levels and enjoy the carnage of enemies and bosses. Ion Fury. From the makers of Duke Nukem, Prey, and Max Payne comes an action-packed FPS that looks straight out of the 90s. While bogged down by technical issues, there's still no denying the authenticity of its gameplay and atmosphere. Observation. See through the eyes of the AI, dive into the adventure that is this sci-fi thriller, and uncover the mystery surrounding a space station crew. And the best Xbox One game of the first half of 2020 is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. One of Microsoft's most prized exclusives has done it again. After Ori touched our hearts with its heartwarming story in the Blind Forest, people have come looking for that same sentiment in this new sequel, and clearly, it delivered. Will-O-The-Wisp is a true sequel, maintaining the quality of its storytelling, visuals, and musical score, all the while also adding new moves and concepts that expand on their already excellent formula. This new entry did come across a few technical hiccups, especially in terms of performance, but with just a little bit of patience and some help from post-release patches, they're easy to ignore on account of the game's overall quality. One of, if not the best Metroidvania of the generation, it gets a play score of 8.85.